So today we're going to cover how to flip your drivetrain from freewheel to the fixed gear side on a flip-flop hub. First we're going to start by flipping the bike over, make it a little bit easier to work on. Just like that, there. And so with this adjustment, there are going to be a couple tools that may not be household that are going to help out a ton. This is called a chain whip with a lock ring wrench attached to it, and then a 15mm box wrench and Allen keys you should have, and those will make it much easier. So I'm going to start by loosening the axle nuts here. Okay, after doing that, we'll probably have to play with the chain tension screws back here. That's going to be a 3mm Allen key, if in fact you do need to loosen those. Back those off a bit so that we can get that chain off. So we're going to go ahead and remove our chain so we can get that back wheel off easily. So what we might also have to do here is open up the quick release lever on our rear brake caliper, so we can just slide this wheel right out. So now we just pulled the rear wheel off our freewheel mechanism. We're going to be flipping this over to the fixed gear cog and lock ring. So when removing your rear wheel, I do recommend either taking this to your local bike shop to have the cog and lock ring tightened by a professional, or again using the tool I had mentioned prior. So what I'm going to do first is loosen up our outer lock ring, loosen that up a bit so I can get to the fixed gear cog. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up that fixed gear cog, make sure that's fully torqued down, just like that. And then go ahead and reinstall our lock ring and make sure that that is completely torqued down and nice and safe for us if we're gonna be riding on the fixed gear side, just like that. And now that we've correctly tightened down our cog and lock ring, this is gonna help with our warranty. This is gonna avoid any issues with our hub here and just make sure we're nice and safe. I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall this on the bike now. So again, paying attention to the drive side of the bicycle, we have our crank side here. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall the wheel on that same side. I'm gonna slide our axle into the dropouts there. We just hand tighten these nuts real quick. I like get this chain back on here. I like to start on the back and then just work my way over the chain ring, just like so. Just like that. And also just be careful here, since it is a fixed drivetrain, there is no backpedaling. So you just wanna watch your fingers when you're working with this fixed gear cog. Again, I'm just gonna hand tighten down these axle nuts just a bit. And so we're gonna go ahead and tighten up our chain tension screws. So do that by hand and then use our 3mm Allen key to go ahead and tighten these back up properly. And as I'm doing this, I want to pay attention to both sides so that we can make sure that our wheel is nice and centered between the rear stays and our brake bridge. And we'll go ahead and just finish up tightening these tension bolts. So now that it's on the fixed gear side, as we tension this bolt, we want to pay attention to how much slack we have. We typically want about 1mm to 2mm of play so that as we're pedaling through, it's a nice even flow. If we do it too tight, we're going to get excessive pressure on the drivetrain. If it's too loose, you do run into the issue where you could potentially get the chain to pop off, and we don't want that to happen on a fixed gear. So again, good rule of thumb, about 1mm to 2mm of play here. Now that we have those nice and tight and our wheel is centered between our chain stay and rear stay and brake bridge, I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten up these axle nuts. I start with the non-drive side, tighten that up, and then finish up with our drive side axle nut. Give it a spin. We're looking good here. And now we're on the fixed gear side. We'll go ahead and close up that rear brake with the quick release lever. Flip this bike over. And we're ready to ride a fixed gear.